floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for the indulgence of a few minutes to talk about this. Colleagues, I really wanted to draw your attention to this item. If our Vice President were talking about this, he'd describe it as a big deal with a little bit of profanity thrown in. This is one of the biggest deals in the city. This is one of the biggest projects in the city of Los Angeles. There is not a single one of you, I would wager, who has not gone through Los Angeles International Airport and felt embarrassed. There is not one of you who has not heard from constituents or out-of-town visitors that our airport looks like crap. There's not a single one of you, I bet, that has not been pressured by the LA Chamber of Commerce to stop listening to neighbors, stop listening to the local elected officials, and get stuff done to modernize that airport. Well, I want to tell you, we're going to bust a few myths today, and you're going to hear about it. One of the myths we're going to bust is the myth that we cannot have a world-class airport. Because we're building one, we're getting there, we're making progress, and these are some of the next phenomenal projects. The other myth I want to bust is that NIMBYs have stood in the way of progress at LAX and modernizing our airport. It's absolutely false. There was one project that neighbors of the airport opposed in a whole menu of LAX modernization projects. And all the projects you are going to hear about today, the Midfield Satellite Concourse, and a groundbreaking ground transportation plan that is going to change traffic, access to, and the passenger experience at the airport, has all been vigorously supported by the neighborhood. In a legal settlement 10, 12 years ago, the neighbors supported these projects. The surrounding cities supported these projects. There is no one I have heard of in the LA political culture or in the neighborhood that doesn't support modernizing Los Angeles International Airport. And the final bit of context on this is, when Mayor Garcetti and I ran for office, we both opposed the controversial project regarding the North Airfield. And we both championed everything else. And we said, when we get into office, let's move forward on the stuff that everybody agrees on, because it's billions of dollars worth of work. It's an incredible passenger improvement, and it's massively job creating. And so that's exactly what we've done. With this team and with the Board of Airport Commissioners, we decided to fast forward the good stuff. And so I'd like them to tell you about the Midfield Satellite Concourse and the ground transportation plan that is going to link up and complement the metro connection that is coming to that airport. We are going to have a world-class airport that is a first-class neighbor.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. President, council members. My name is Roger Johnson, Deputy Executive Director at Los Angeles World Airports. Thank you, Mr. Labange. We have a short presentation today. I want to discuss with you the action that's before the council, and then Mr. Doucette will discuss the ground access transportation system that is currently in the planning stage. What is before you this morning is a contract for the design and construction of the first phase of what we call the Midfield Satellite Concourse. The drawing you see in front of you with the white box off to the left is the Midfield Satellite Concourse site. This is the next major addition to the LAX development program. This will be a satellite concourse, the first one at LA that is not actually connected by roadway to the central terminal area. This concourse will provide 11 new gates, half of which will support the A380 and the new large aircraft. So this is much needed contact gates that will replace the poor service that we're providing the international carriers today out on the remote pad. So it's a very necessary job. So the project, and again, I'll rush through this one, is ultimately at build-out, we will have 22 gates. We're building 11 gates today. Primary reason for that is there are a couple of huge maintenance facilities that are in the way. Qantas is working on a new facility, and American Airlines is working on their planning. What you see on this drawing here is how the Midfield Satellite will connect to the Tom Bradley Terminal. You see to the right where the Tom Bradley Terminal is, there is a small connection building that will be a connector, and through there will be an underground tunnel with a moving walkway that will connect to the new Midfield Satellite Concourse. So moving on, just to put things in perspective, this picture basically shows the overall capital development program now, describing in pictures what Councilman Bonin described as the transportation system. To the right is a consolidated rental car facility plus the connection to the Metro, Crenshaw LAX line and future Green Line extension, as well as an intermodal transportation facility and the people mover that moves into above ground people mover that will move into LAX. This just gives you a little bit of a close-up. The people mover will be a single line right now in planning. It's a single line that will run through the center of the terminal, and you see kind of these, they're bridges, they're white lines that run north and south in the central terminal area. There will be several connections, stops, and those connections and stops will be connected to the terminals through moving walkways. But just to give you an idea, this isn't just going to be a bridge like the pedestrian bridges that you see today. The picture on the screen right here is a rendering of what a meter greeter area would be like if you got off the APM at the airport. This is just a rendering of what it might look like, and then you would actually go through the connection or the bridges with the moving walkway would look like this. So again, I want to stress today what we are asking you to vote on is the midfield satellite with the connector tunnel to Tom Bradley. And now I'd like to have Mr. Doucette explain the public and commercial transportation system.
Thank you, Roger. And it's a real pleasure to be here today to talk about this program and how we're going to solve one of the long-standing issues in transit here in Los Angeles. We worked very collaboratively with Metro and with Councilman Bonin's office to actually develop this program and this plan that you see here today. Roger talked a little bit about the central terminal area and the terminus of that automated people mover and what goes on in the central terminal area. I'd like to focus on the items to the east, and this is really a comprehensive plan to ease congestion in the central terminal area and the surrounding communities, but more importantly, to connect this airport to the regional transportation system. What you see up there is the kind of the pinkish reddish line is the Crenshaw line currently under construction, which will be extended down Aviation Boulevard. It will also allow for the Green Line to be extended north, and it will have the terminus of those two lines where they meet is actually the 96th Street station and the interface for the airport. The slides going up, the first big blue bullet up there was the 96th Street station. The second slide was the bullet was to show the central terminal area. The one on the far right, the consolidated rental car facility. This is all passengers who come to LAX and rent a car will go out to that area. That's approximately 17% of activity at the airport. So if you can imagine taking that many passengers, getting them out of the central terminal area and all those buses and consolidating them in one location, it will have a tremendous impact on the streets surrounding the airport and in the central terminal area. To focus a little more specifically on the major components of this, the first item, as I mentioned, is the 96th Street Metro station that is currently being developed and planned by Metro. Once again, the pink lines are the Crenshaw line coming down to the airport. The green line is the extension of the Green Line coming to the north. Those purple dashed lines are the automated people mover system. So now when a passenger who comes in on transit simply gets off the station, goes up one level, and will be able to connect directly to an automated people mover system that will take it in about a 6 to 8 minute journey into the central terminal area with one level change. It will be an extremely convenient connection. One other component I want to point out is coming out of that building to the left is a small transit plaza. And that's going to be the relocation of the local buses, both Metro, Culver City Green Line buses, as well as the Santa Monica Blue Bus. That will provide connections from the regional light rail system to local communities.
You've got up. That's not forwarding. Appears to be. There we go.
Okay.
It's going to show you where the transit station is.
So once again, this development program is not just about connecting transit to the airport, but it's also about creating a seamless transportation hub for connections between light rail and buses throughout the community. I spoke briefly about the automated people mover system elevated. There's also the rental car facility to the left that's approximately 18,000 stalls and once again 17% of activity. We're also going to develop a commercial transit plaza there for our flyaway buses and other dedicated airport type buses. Once again, this is just a conceptual rendering of that, showing the elevated automated people mover system as well as the connection for those dedicated airport type bus facilities.
And the idea here is to take all of the commercial traffic right now that's coming into the central terminal area. It may be shuttle buses, it may be other kind of privately held buses, but to get that out of the central terminal area into this central transportation hub and onto the automated people mover to again reduce the car traffic into the area. So
why don't we just forward to this next slide is what we refer to as the Intermodal Transportation Center. That was the facility in the center of the diagram that's located just north of the Century Corridor hotel complexes. And this facility is to provide additional off-site parking for airport uses, employees, and to provide additional curb front for either shuttle buses or passenger pickup and drop off. So private vehicles can access this instead of going into the central terminal area. In conjunction, all of these items, and we can flip to the next slide, this is just a rendering of the curb front. All of these components will significantly improve the ground access in and around LAX and the surrounding communities. And we're in the planning, the environmental and planning process now, and are moving forward as rapidly as possible on that development.
We hope to release the notice of preparation for the CEQA work for the APM and the CONRAC within 2 weeks. So with that, we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks. Let me just sort of recap it a bit. Colleagues, most of you have experienced or at least seen the new Tom Bradley International Terminal. Many of you have experienced or at least seen some of the new concessions at the airport. If the Bradley International Terminal is the remodeled living room of our airport and the concessions are the remodeled kitchen of our airport, this is the remodeled front door and the remodeled driveway and the remodeled bedrooms of the airport. What the airport is doing here is creating a fundamental reimagining of and transformation of the passenger experience at the airport. When the midfield satellite concourse is done, no longer will anybody have to take a shuttle bus out to a remote part of the airfield to an obscure gate with minimal, if any, amenities. That will be a thing of the past. When the ground transportation plan is done, all of the shuttle buses that clog our central terminal will be consolidated into one system like they have in Boston and other airports, significantly reducing the congestion in our central terminal area. When the metro train gets there, there will be then a tram, not a shuttle bus, not a big schlep. There will be a tram that will take them from terminal to terminal around the airport and then to moving walkways. This is going to be an entirely different LAX, thanks to the cooperation of LAWA staff, Metro, the Mayor's Office, Board of Airport Commissioners, and I got to underscore again, the community, fully with LAWA on this and in full partnership on it. This is going to be something else. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.